Today we're going to be doing a video on what I eat in a day and how I've lost close to 50 pounds. So I'm going to start off my day today with some breakfast. I'm going to be having an Oikos 000 yogurt. This is a zero sugar, zero fat, and it's got 15 grams of protein. These are really filling. I know they're small, but they make a great breakfast. And you could always add some strawberries or blueberries or something to it to make it a little bit more substantial. So tonight for my supper, I'm doing something different today. It's early morning actually, and I am going to get my whole dinner prepared, put it in the refrigerator because I have my grandkids coming early today and I won't be able to get anything done while they're here. So I found a recipe from this cookbook called The Cookbooks from Prevention Cooking, and it's Eat Up, Slim Down. Now I calculated this makes a great email, as in Edward, an email. And I'm going to be making a recipe called Pollo Loco. It just sounded so good and so easy, and I am going to add one extra thing. I am going to make some cauliflower rice just so it's a little bit more filling, and you know, I think cauliflower rice, I could eat it with every meal. I just think it's so good. So we're going to make it from start to finish. I'm going to show you how I set it up so that tonight all I have to do really is throw it in either the oven or the microwave. So here we go. So the first thing that I want to do today is grind up my chicken. So I have about 1.5 pounds of chicken breast. And what I did was last night I marinated this with the juice of 1 lime. I put in like a handful of cilantro, and I also put some of that cilantro lime seasoning that I get from the Dollar Tree. It is so good. And then I also put in a little bit of black pepper. So you do that to taste. This is just what I thought would be really good with this Mexican dish. So I'm going to cut up this chicken into like bite-sized pieces and just run it through my KitchenAid mini food processor. And if you prefer to just get some ground chicken or ground turkey, you can do that as well. Either one will work fine, but this is what I had and I decided this is what I wanted to use today. So the first thing that we're going to do now is we're going to take our chicken that's been all marinated along with the cilantro. I'm going to go ahead and put all of this in my food processor because I want the cilantro to cook up with it. That's one of the things that just makes this dish taste so good. So I'm just going to cut it into like some rough pieces just so it'll go through my food processor. Look at how beautiful that came out. Just really lovely. And there you go. Within about 1.5 minutes, you have completely ground up chicken. Now, I ground this up, like I said, with the cilantro. Look how nice it ground that up. It's just perfect. So now we're going to go ahead and start putting our chicken dish together. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of garlic cloves along with 1 jalapeno pepper that I've washed and taken the seeds out, and I'm also going to throw those through my food processor just to get them ground up. So over medium heat, we're going to go ahead and start heating up our two teaspoons of olive oil, and we're going to add our ground chicken or turkey to that, and we're going to make sure that this is cooked through so that it's no longer pink. While we're letting this cook up, I'm going to go ahead and get my cauliflower ready to put in the microwave so we can get it steaming so we can turn it into cauliflower rice. So I'm going to be using my Sistema steamer. If you don't have one of these, I'm going to link it in the description below. I can't live without mine. It's just one of the best tools I have in my kitchen. I steam all my vegetables in it, and it keeps my vegetables, you know, nice and holding all of their nutrients and their vitamins. I just love this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this up, and then I'm going to rinse everything off, clean it after it's cut. With the cauliflower, you can't really get into the little nooks and crannies until you get it all cut up. So what I do with my Sistema steamer is I take my cauliflower basket out, I wash it all after it's been, cut up, and then I sit it in the steamer and I put it in the microwave. Then I just put my lid on it. I normally cook this cauliflower for 8 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and cook it for 9 minutes today in the microwave just so that it's easy to rice. You just want to give this a little stir, make sure that your chicken is cooking up or your turkey. Oh, it smells so good in here with the seasonings and just the cilantro. It doesn't really have anything else at this point, but it smells really good. Now, I'll tell you what, if you're making something like tacos or enchiladas or something like that, you could always cook up a huge batch of this and freeze it just like this after it cools, and then you can take it out. And again, that's another easy way to make your meals. Now, I don't use stewed tomatoes per se. Sometimes I make them, but I have tomatoes from last year's garden along with some ancho chilies that I froze. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut these up. And I'm going to go ahead and add these when it's time to add the tomatoes. Now these I'm not going to run through the food processor. I just want to make sure that, they're chunky enough that we're going to really taste a few bites of these peppers. I love these ancho peppers. And these are the tomatoes that I grew last summer. I usually put them in the freezer already with already cored and all that. But this batch, I didn't do that. I just threw them in whole, so I'm figuring I must have been really busy last summer. That's all I can imagine why this wasn't completely, it's a lot easier to peel them later if you have all that off. So no big deal. We're going to take off as much of the skins and everything as we can. Definitely take out the cores. I may not even take the skins off some of these bigger ones. I'm not gonna worry about it. If they peel off, great. If they don't, that's fine too. This is one of the reasons that I plant so many tomato plants. This is something I use all year long, are my tomatoes. So even if you're not a canner, it's very easy to freeze tomatoes. And I don't know about you, but I do not care for the tomatoes that you get in the store. I just don't like them. They're just usually very, I don't know, they're just not good. All right, these Roma tomatoes, I'm gonna leave them just like they are. Just cut these a little bit. They make a lot of juice when they come out of the freezer when you put them in the microwave. All right, I think our chicken is about done. All right, our chicken is all cooked up. So all we're gonna do at this step is we're going to add our garlic and our pepper that we ran through the food processor. And we're going to add a cup of onions, which is basically 1 medium onion. And give that a good stir. And you just want to let this cook up a little bit so these onions and peppers get a little bit of cooked on them. You're not going to have a lot of oil because you're cooking with a cooked chicken. You've only put in 2 teaspoons of olive oil. So I want to cut this tomato up a little bit better. When it cooks, it actually cooks down really well on its own. I just kind of like having it chopped up a little into smaller chunks. I can really smell that garlic. Boy, that smells good. All right. Okay, this looks real good. These are my version of stewed tomatoes from my garden. I actually had someone write to me last week and say that they didn't think I was being real honest about, you know, my vegetables and fruit and everything. I guess, did I really have that big of a garden? I just had to kind of laugh to myself. I thought, that's interesting. I really have a huge garden, and I have several gardening videos where I showed a lot of the things that I, you know, can and preserve and use to cook with every day. So now we're going to add our cumin. I've got a tablespoon of powdered cumin. I'm just going to put that right over the chicken. Ooh. Give that a, oh boy, there's that Mexican flavor that everybody loves so much, that wonderful smell of cumin. Holy cannoli, that smells good. All right, at this point, we're gonna go ahead and add our tomatoes and our ancho peppers out of our garden with all the juice. We're gonna give this a good stir. We want this to start cooking down, and got a little core there, I noticed. I think I threw it in by accident. All right, so we're gonna start cooking down our tomatoes. And these are various tomatoes. I usually grow the Abe Lincoln tomatoes. They're the ones I really like the best. And in my garden, I'd say probably 75% of my tomatoes are those Abe Lincoln. I've got a few Roma. I've got some cherry tomatoes and some yellow pear tomatoes I'm growing, but for cooking, for eating like sandwiches and things like that, you can't beat the Abe Lincoln tomatoes. They're just absolutely divine. I have a can of mushrooms. I'm just gonna drain those and throw those in so they cook up with our tomatoes and all this amazing mixture. And we're gonna bring that up to a boil, and as soon as we do, we're gonna turn it down to low, and we're gonna cover it, and we're gonna simmer this for about 30 minutes. So while my chicken mixture is, you know, cooking down real slowly, I've got it on low, I'm gonna take a potato masher and I'm just gonna mash up this cauliflower. And if you prefer to put it through a food processor, or, you know, however you do it, go right ahead. This actually works really good. It's kind of a good workout for my arms. So I just wanted the consistency of rice, and this is very easy. It literally takes like 2 minutes, and your cauliflower is all riced up. Now when I do the first pass, I usually bring the bigger pieces from the bottom up. And now our timer's gone off, so I'm just gonna take the lid off and give it a little stir, and now it's time to add our beans. So these are the white beans, and in my case, I'm adding a can of pinto beans, but if you have the pink beans, you know, that's what the recipe actually calls for. So, you know, whatever works. Now it says that you're gonna let this kind of simmer down for another 15 minutes. So I'm gonna keep this on low, just let it simmer, and then I'll bring you back just as soon as we put this together. Now I'm gonna have plenty for a couple of nights, and I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and make up the meals for tonight, put them in the refrigerator, and I think I'm gonna freeze the rest. So I'll cover it back up and I'll bring you back in 15 minutes. All right, it's been 15 minutes, so I'm gonna go ahead and plate up my dish. So all I've done is put the cauliflower rice along with a topping of the Pollo Loco. I put a little bit of low-fat mozzarella cheese, and then all I'm gonna do when these cool a bit is I'm gonna put lids on them, and they're gonna be all ready tonight when the grandkids leave. And I have plenty left for another day. So thank you for joining me today to make this delicious Pollo Loco meal. I think it's gonna be fantastic, and the best thing about it is tonight all I have to do is just throw it quickly in the microwave as soon as the grandkids leave and dinner's ready. So, and we have plenty left for leftovers. So I'm gonna let everything cool before I refrigerate it or freeze it, And I think this probably is going to make close to 6 meals. This was an amazing dish from 2 pieces of chicken. So this is how you cook on a budget too. The last thing that I'm gonna do is my snack tonight. I have a strawberry Ninja Creamy that I'm gonna be making. I'm just gonna throw it in the Ninja Creamy machine and have a nice healthy snack around 7 o'clock tonight. This is a typical day on how I've been losing this weight on Trim Healthy Mama. Now this is not a Trim Healthy Mama recipe. I showed you earlier, I got this from this prevention cookbook. I actually found this cookbook at the Goodwill and it had so many amazing recipes, I went ahead and picked it up. So this was the recipe book that I used it from. I would consider this an e-meal, and I'm going to put all the nutritional facts down in the description below. If you're interested in getting one of these Sistema steamers, I'm going to link that below. It's so handy, as well as my KitchenAid mini chopper. I just can't live without either one of them. You see me use them in so many of my videos. So if you're not a subscriber, please consider subscribing to my channel. Give me a like, a thumbs up, or ring the bell for future notifications, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.